to stop him, don't you? I can't stop him.
Thank you for joining us on the second episode of the Horror Syndicate Live. I am Brian Enright. You can find me at Facebook at facebook.com/Brian Enright. And you can follow me on Twitter at The Horror Jew. Next we have Baron Craze.
Hey, greetings. It's the Baron, the horror historian to some, the psychopath to others. You can follow me on Twitter at Baron_Craze, also on Facebook at Baron Craze, and of course check out the Baron's Crypt, also on Facebook.
All right, and next we have Jared. Jared,
Who's that?
welcome for joining us on the show.
Yeah, Jared here. You can follow me on Twitter at zombie_survivor. Glad to be here.
Awesome, very cool. Thank you, Jared. And up next we have Morgan, also known as Millennial Morgan.
Yeah, I'm Morgan on Twitter at Morgan_Jewel_S.
Awesome. And next we have the one and only Ray Canella, Rayzilla.
Hey there, horror fans. It's your old Uncle Ray Zilla here, coming to you somewhat live this evening, located somewhere off exit 18E of the New Jersey Turnpike. You can follow me on Twitter at RayzillaNJ. And good evening to everybody.
Good evening. And last but not least, we have the creator of the Horror Syndicate, the president, Ray Merrick.
The president. That's me. You voted? This is what you got. It's Razor_33 on Twitter, and that's all I'm going to tell you tonight.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We are the Horror Syndicate. We are a group that was founded on one of the Facebook pages called the Horror DVD Blu-ray Collectors. And we met there through Ray. Ray Merrick, Razor, and he was posting up competitions, which you can see now at the Horror Movie Massacre, with titles competing against each other, such as The Exorcist versus Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After that was finished, he formed the Horror Movie Massacre and then the Horror Syndicate, and that's how we all met, and we decided to go live because we felt like, we have an amazing cast of horror nerds, and we're united, and we definitely have some entertainment to bring you tonight. We have a good lineup, a great lineup. We have Halloween 3 will be our main topic. We just finished up the ABCs of horror. If you do not know what that is, go like thehorrorsyndicate.com and look through the entire month of October, where we started from A to Z of our favorite horror movies and covered them. Now,
started with Alien and ended with Zombie.
Yep.
Sorry.
And yep, exactly. It began with Alien, ended with Zombie, and now we are beginning this segment with Jared. Jared has something to mention about the ABCs of horror that we just went through.
Yeah, like Brian said, we just finished up today. It was a long month, a lot of really good horrors this month. I first off wanted to say thanks to everybody that contributed to the ABC. It was quite a project to make sure we had daily content going out. And you guys all did a tremendous job. And I would also thank the readers for following and listening.
Jared, you may need to kiss your mic.
Mwah.
We didn't hear anything.
Yeah, that was
None of it.
no. I heard you say
Damn it.
tremendous.
But for lip readers, it was awesome. So,
Yeah,
you know,
off the
there you
chain.
Damn
go.
it.
We are having some difficulties today. I don't know what. My mic's down. I'm using my phone. So
All right, I'm reconnecting here. Well, as some of you guys know, at home, watching through the website or the Facebook page, we finally finished up the ABCs of Horror. It was a lot of hard work, and it was a fun project. And I want to commend all the contributors. You guys did a tremendous job.
Thank you.
thanks.
We had a couple of hiccups down the road, but for the most part, it was pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, thank you everybody for contributing to the
Sure.
ABCs of Horror.
Now, Jared, last week you revealed your title that you discovered on Bloody Streaming Roulette. Did you have a little bit of an intake do you want to share with everyone watching?
Yeah. I watched and reviewed the Snorefest that is 2014's Dark Was the Night. Wow, that was hard to get through. I think I said in my article it felt like watching a horror movie on the Lifetime channel. It was
Did
not
it-
that good.
Did it have Rob Lowe in it? Because Rob Lowe is usually in like Lifetime Channel movies. How do I know this? I don't know. I guess I just figured it out that Rob Lowe is in a bunch of Lifetime movies for women.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. Been a lot of those.
Jennifer.
Needless to
Love
say, it was not very good.
Now,
So you guys don't like Lifetime? Well, we're changing formats to Lifetime. We're going to cover only Lifetime movies. Sorry to
my
break
God.
the.
Thank God. Can me and either Baron or Rayzilla do a drunk review of Face on the Milk Carton? The worst Lifetime movie I've ever seen in my lifetime.
We can do that, Brian. I'll bring the alcohol.
I'll see if I can find an out of print copy on DVD or
No,
VHS.
go for VHS. Go for VHS. Get
And
that
I'll
one.
bring the NyQuil.
Oh, my.
So we'll have that covered.
Okay, good.
So NyQuil, alcohol, and two Jersey horror fans meeting up with another Jersey horror fan probably won't make it through the movie if there's alcohol and NyQuil involved. But it
Oh,
would
that's
be
a party, though.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
party.
Come
It would
on.
be a-
That's
it would
Jersey
be a
style
fun-
all the way.
It would be a fun first 15 minutes.
So I'll stay in Illinois.
You might be safe. You might.
Yeah, maybe.
I kind of want to. Before we go into our next segment, I wanted to mention the news. With Rayzilla being a huge Godzilla fan, and Shin Godzilla was released. It has just been announced that Michael Dougherty, the director of Trick or Treat and Krampus, is now writing and directing Godzilla 2, the direct sequel to the Bryan Cranston chick flick. I'm pretty excited for it because I genuinely enjoyed Krampus. I thought it was a holiday movie.
Krampus was fun.
It was fun,
I liked it.
and it didn't hold anything back. It was just pure Christmas joy with a twist ending. And Trick or Treat, it's one of the best Halloween movies ever released directly to DVD.
Anthologies, love them.
Oh yeah. So, but I'm pretty excited for the new Godzilla movie. Now with that, I just wanted to I wanted to know if you guys had any input on there, but I guess we can always get back to it. Now, Baron, you had an interesting week. You got to interview the founder of Screamfest.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a kind of a chance thing that happened. I worked with some other people I know out in California. We arranged for the interview. Yeah, Rachel Sky is the one who's the founder and is currently still running the event. She had a lot of input from the late Wes Craven there. It's a really cool fest. It's been running for 16 years now. I think it's almost the longest running fest. She runs it kind of like in a family way, with a lot of support. So if you're a filmmaker who just got there and you really don't know what to do, because a lot of filmmakers, they make the movie and then they don't know what to do next. They just don't know how to take it to the next level on the fest circuit. So she gives a lot of pointers to it and such. So she's always welcoming people in and kind of giving a real family kind of atmosphere to it. And I just wanted to put the review up on the Horror Syndicate because why not? I didn't see us having a lot of interviews, and when I get the opportunity, I'd like to put something up there. And it was nice of Ray to let me do that. And it, it was a good interview. It lasted probably 25 minutes, which is usually 10 more minutes than you actually get on one of those kind of interviews. You get like 15 minutes, and you got to fire your questions off. Hope you nail the thing, and that's it. And I don't know. I've done about 15 interviews, so I'm pretty good at it now. But it's a really cool interview, so check it out on the Horror Syndicate page under the interviews section.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I read the whole thing.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'll have to check it out myself. I actually never heard of Screamfest until I saw the posts about it on the Horror Syndicate, and I read the review on Rogue Cinema. If you've been writing for Rogue Cinema for a long time now.
Yeah, I'm Rogue Cinema's #1 writer overall and #1 horror writer. Something over 120,000 views a year, a minimum. What's neat about the Screamfest is, while it still accepts a lot of the new independent ones, there is a chance for people to mingle with, if you would, like Sean Penn or James Franco was there last year. So it's a really cool thing. You've got people that you never expect to be in horror doing a horror movie because they just want to break their mold. If they're always a comic actor, they want to break it and move into horror where you got, because I say horror includes all the genres. You got the drama moments in the film. You got a little romance thrown in there. You got to care about somebody. I don't know why. You just want to usually kill everybody in the film. There's all these elements, and that's what you got with the fest. And their website really is cool for the Screamfest. They use the social media all the way up to the max level, and each film gets its own page and is constantly pushing that film for other festivals.
Mm-hmm. Now, where is this Scream Festival held at annually?
It is held in obviously LA. It is pretty much right across from where they did the Oscars. So yours, really nice area. It's a really big format. They do it. As Rich was telling me that they roll out the red carpet. They get a lot of photographers out there. It's all done big spectacular way. So if you're like a really new to filmmaking and new to a fest, and you get invited to that one, it's phenomenal. There's a lot of people from there go on to, like, say, Pitch Fest, where you start pitching other projects. It's a great entryway.
Okay, yeah, I mean that'd be something I would love to take a stab at.
And just to put it out there, Rachel, who runs the fest, she is not just a person who decided to do a fest. She actually was involved in the making of the film Going to Pieces, the rise and fall of the slasher genre.
Mm-hmm.
That was a documentary that she did, and so she loves horror. I mean, her favorite horror movie that she got hooked on the genre, she told me, was The Omen, the original. So she definitely likes the genre and supports it heavily.
I saw that in the interview. Yeah, The Omen's a good one to get hooked on.
Yeah.
How old is she? Is she? That's a bad question.
Yeah. And so where you were going, I heard where you're going with that. No, we're not going down that road.
Well, what I mean is like,
You're a married man, are you?
well, no, at one point, I didn't see The Omen until I was like 15, so I didn't know if she was very young when she saw it, or that's what I was getting at.
Well, see, there's a standard question I always ask, and it always screws up whoever I ask to. Everybody always asks, what's your favorite horror movie? And everybody's got that figured out pretty much. I say, what is the film that hooked you on the genre? Not your favorite one, but what hooked you? And that usually is a stumbling question for anybody. Because she started to answer, her favorite one was Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. So then she had to backpedal and go, no, wait, what hooked me was The Omen. So, I don't know where she saw or when she saw it, but that's the film that hooked her on the genre, which came out in 76. So, 76, something around there. So,
yeah, I mean, if you guys want to go into it, why don't we talk about the first movie that hooked us into it? I know that we all mentioned what movie we first saw. That was a horror movie. What age we were when we first saw the movie. But I mean, I would like to go around the room, no particular order, and at least discuss what was the first movie that got us into horror. And I'll start off real quick, and then we'll go around. I mean, I saw, it actually didn't happen until later in my life. I saw Demons at a horror movie marathon, and it played at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was like one of those 24-hour horror movie marathons, and I woke up 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm watching these people in a theater who are watching a movie about this teen couple going in and finding the book of Nostradamus and then releasing demons. And I said to myself, I've always liked horror movies. I've always loved them, but this is where I belong. I said, this movie, waking up at this point and watching this movie, I finally realized that horror is, the best genre there is. And I've been a film fan my whole life, but horror is everything. It just covers everything on the table. And that's my opinion. I won't go into a full story, but anyone who wants to take the next
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
It was actually a double feature one day. It was Frankenstein 1931, which is up for its big anniversary this year, and then Psycho, the 1960 classic from Alfred Hitchcock. I don't know why they those two films back to back, but as a kid I didn't care. Frankenstein gave you a really interesting gothic storytelling. It actually made me want to go out and read the book. So there's no film inspiring the kid to go read a book, which of course led me down Poe and everything else down that path. And Hitchcock, just the way that story went, I remember getting a little scared going, wait a minute, who the hell's the killer now? And I really enjoyed the suspense, and ever since then became a Hitchcock student, if you would. Many of you listen to the Baron script, you hear me talk about Hitchcock a lot. So for me, those two films were the ones that were the pinnacle ones that just hooked me on the genre. 1931 Frankenstein, which I recommend everybody to see. Yes, it doesn't measure up to today's standards in gore or anything, but storytelling, artistic development, everything about that, for a screenwriter, that's essence. And Psycho, well, come on, let's face it, it's Psycho. That's it's the ultimate kind of film.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Jason Lives. That's it.
All right.
That's it. You just saw Jason Lives, and you're like, "This is my movie."
I loved it. I saw a bunch of slasher movies in the '80s, and Jason Lives is the one that got me. And not like I wasn't scared or anything. I just thought Jason was so cool. And from then on, I had to see more. And it was between him, Freddy, and Michael Myers. I got to see all of those in '88 and '89 when they came out, and those were my big ones, and still are. you ever look at my collection, I have multiple copies of each of those films. So, and I don't need to have that many copies, but I do.
It happens to the best of us. All right, who would like to take the next story?
Well, then I'll go next. I mentioned, I think, an episode or so ago about how King Kong had such a profound effect on me as a kid. And, you know, when you're young, it's when these things have an impact. You know, here's my copy of King Kong. And for me, you know, we didn't have all of the different avenues for, you know, the consumption of movies. You know, you basically, I grew up in an era before cable, before VHS. You either went to the movies to go see these films or you saw them on television. So King Kong, you know, for me had a dual effect for this discussion anyway. It's what turned me into a genre fan, but it also, you know, just solidified for me my direction where I wanted to take my career, where I wanted to go professionally. I became obsessed with how it was done. How did they make this movie? What went into putting this movie together? And so, you know, for me, it's King Kong. It's nice to hear everybody bring up Frankenstein, because Frankenstein also had a major impact on me. James Whale's wonderful movie, because, you know, it brings up so much discussion. Frankenstein, the story itself. Baron mentioned how great the script is. And it is, because it's not just the story of a man who creates life without reckoning with God, but it's also the story of a bad parent. Frankenstein is Henry Frankenstein is a bad parent. He creates a life, and then he doesn't take proper responsibility for that life. He allows, he neglects it. He allows it to run amok. So, you know, there's so many layers to the story, and I think that's why it's timeless and a must-see for any horror fan, if you're interested in the genre or not. It is definitely, for me, a personal favorite also.
All right,
and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, so now it's down to Morgan and Jared.
You want to go first, Morgan?
Sure. Like the first horror movie I saw, but I'd probably have to say Jeepers Creepers 2, which it wasn't the first horror movie I saw, but it was the first one I like sat down and watched in full, because like every year whenever I was growing up, my mom would have the Halloween movies playing on TV whenever they were on during the Halloween season, and I would watch them, but I never saw like them incomplete. But yeah, I think Jeepers Creepers, after I like sat down and watched that in full, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna start watching horror movies now.
And you never looked back.
Yep.
That's why you're here.
Now, Morgan, that's a big cup you got there, Morgan. You know, we're gonna. That's the extra super set. You know, we're gonna ask you to fill that specimen bottle for us, ma'am, before you leave the office today. So, just so you're informed.
All right, Jared, come on. I know you got a movie that you're just dying to talk about.
Oh yeah. Probably not in depth, but the first movie that I saw, we all know, was Jaws, but the first one that really got my attention, I was probably 10 or 11, was the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I had never seen fright, had never seen fear displayed so purely on camera before. It blew my mind.
Yeah, it really rubs your face in it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear
Oh,
you
yeah.
great.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we hear you great.
Good. I'm going to
All
kiss
right,
my
awesome.
microphone a little longer.
Oh,
There you go. There you go.
gonna turn it on a show. All right.
Now moving along. I know our president of the Horror Syndicate has the 5 nights of Halloween to cover. Ray, did you want to talk about that? Oh.
Horror for Halloween. Am I coming through?
Yay!
Yay! I forgot to put it on mute while I was messing around with my Blu-ray and DVDs. Horror for Halloween is the follow-up because there are 5 days left in October. So we're going to have, starting tomorrow, hopefully, House of a Thousand Corpses. And I believe Robert Smith from The Cure will be writing that. And then after that, I believe we've got
Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demons, Mike Anarino.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, pardon. 1,000 pardons. And then we've got Trick or Treat, the aforementioned, however you say that. Halloween on October 31st. This will also be the Hall of Fame entry for the month. And there's one more I'm missing.
The one we're going to be
Jared's
talking
the
about
one-
next segment.
The one that I think you're doing. What is that one?
Season
Take
of
it
the
away.
Witch.
Let me think.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Oh boy. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Our big topic for tonight. Our huge story for tonight is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Why did we decide that?
Because, we decided that we're all going to go see the same movie every week. I know a lot of us can't get to the theater or, watch video on demand. So we figured we go for a classic title, considering that Halloween is this weekend.
Yeah.
And, I feel like Halloween 3 doesn't get the reputation it deserves. When it first came out, now it's got a cult following that has been brewing through the years. But when it first came out, it got some terrible feedback.
Yeah.
And,
Halloween franchise purists hated it.
Well, I think that you have to take it within the context of the time that it came out, and I remember it quite clearly. As far as the movie's concerned, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It certainly doesn't skimp on the gore. There's some really great kills in it, and all of that. And the intention of the movie was to be an anthology film, actually.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
The intention of John Carpenter and Deborah Hill was to make every Halloween they were going to release a different Halloween film that had nothing to do with the previous movie, and
Which would have been awesome.
This is the first of that kind. Me personally, yeah, it really rubs your face in it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you great.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we hear you great.
Good. I'm going to kiss my microphone a little longer.
Oh,
There you go.
gonna turn it on a show. All right.
Now moving along. I know our president of the Horror Syndicate has the 5 nights of Halloween to cover. Ray, did you want to talk about that? Oh.
Horror for Halloween. Am I coming through?
Yay!
Yay! I forgot to put it on mute while I was messing around with my Blu-ray and DVDs. Horror for Halloween is the follow-up because there are 5 days left in October. So we're gonna have, starting tomorrow, hopefully, House of a Thousand Corpses, and I believe Robert Smith from The Cure will be writing that. And then after that, I believe we've got
Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demons, Mike Anarino.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, pardon, 1,000 pardons. And then we've got Trick or Treat, the aforementioned movie, however you say that. Halloween on October 31st. This will also be the Hall of Fame entry for the month. And there's one more I'm missing.
The one we're going to be
Jared's
talking
the
about
one-
next segment.
The one that I think you're doing. What is that one?
Season
Take
of
it
the
away.
Witch.
Let me think.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Oh boy. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Our big topic for tonight. Our huge story for tonight is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Why did we decide that?
Because, we decided that we're all going to go see a movie, the same movie every week. I know a lot of us can't get to the theater or, watch video on demand. So we figured we go for a classic title, considering that Halloween is this weekend.
Yeah.
And, I feel like Halloween 3 doesn't get the reputation it deserves. When it first came out, now it's got a cult following that has been brewing through the years. But when it first came out, it got some terrible feedback.
Yeah.
And,
Halloween franchise purists hated it.
Well, I think that you have to take it within the context of the time that it came out, and I remember it quite clearly. As far as the movie's concerned, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It certainly doesn't skimp on the gore. There's some really great kills in it, and all of that. And the intention of the movie was to be an anthology film, actually.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
The intention of John Carpenter and Deborah Hill was to make every Halloween they were going to release a different Halloween film that had nothing to do with the previous movie, and
Which would have been awesome.
This is the first of that kind. Me personally, I find it an odd decision. I find it an odd decision because Halloween, in my opinion, there was nothing broken with the Halloween franchise, in my opinion.
So because they used the Halloween name, it probably dragged it down a little bit?
Oh, without question, because there was a level of expectation. There was nothing broken with the films. Number one was awesome, and number two was pretty damn good too. So immediately off the bat, it was a letdown.
Well, but at the end of Halloween 2, we were led to believe that Loomis and Michael Myers were both dead after the explosion. So, did we really need more to that story? That's my issue with it. Although I do love 4, 5, and some of the others.
Well, history tells us that the answer to that question is yes, because they eventually went back to it with number 4.
That's to please people,
I find
right?
it an odd choice. I find it an odd choice. It's not like, and this was Carpenter's choice to do this. That's why I use the word choice. This isn't a situation like with Wes Craven where he basically surrendered the rights to Freddy Krueger, and the company took the character and went with it. This was John Carpenter controlling it at the time. So to me, it's a bit of an odd choice to take the franchise in that direction. Maybe I would have removed the numeral 3 from the title. Maybe I would have called it maybe Halloween Season of the Witch. The 3 to me is a connotation of a continuation.
True.
So expectations at the time, it was a bummer. It was a bummer.
Yeah. Fans were definitely upset that Michael Myers wasn't in it at all.
Oh, he was in it.
In the trailer on the TV.
Yeah, in the commercial.
No,
He has a
Commercial,
cameo. Yes.
But no, wait a minute. Just to kind of note, I mean, where the Halloween, the fans of Michael Myers, okay, they get disappointed with the film when it doesn't have it in part 3, just like the Jason fans in part 5 when the Jason is not Jason, it's somebody else. So the same kind of thing happens back and forth. So you got the purists that think this way, but I find Halloween 3 to be an interesting caveat. It's a little bit different. Song that they play in there, if you ever look it up, is actually the same theme music to London Bridge is Falling Down. So I find that to be interesting. I don't know why, but it just happens to be that. But I don't know. I like the movie. It's got Tom Atkins into it, and let's face it. That's one reason I probably like it.
He's a treasure.
Yeah.
He's a pimp.
But at the time when the movie did come out, it was disappointing to a lot of people. They didn't understand what happened to Michael Myers. How does he play into the story? He got hung up on that one aspect. Never released it. So now that the film has come around more often, it gets a little bit more respect.
Well, and that was my problem. I saw it. It was on TV one night, and I stayed home to watch it. Halloween 3. Finally was going to get to see what happened between 2 and 4. And I got to it. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like, where the hell's Michael Myers? And he never showed up because I didn't know. I was 10, I think, at the time. I liked it though. Eventually.
Yeah, it's not a film that I found to enjoy the first time around, or the second, maybe the third. But after that, I said, I just kind of gave it some time, and I went back to it, and I said, you know what? Let me watch this by itself, and not expecting anything else to it, and kind of got into it. Especially when the bugs come out of the kid's head. I don't like that.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so we're all kind of in agreement that there might have been like a marketing mishap with this movie.
Yeah, because everybody, I think, was expecting Michael Myers, which I can agree with because you saw 1 and 2. Here comes 3 with the Roman numerals. They're going, okay, here Michael Myers has got to appear sometime. He's got to be somehow maybe connected to Stonehenge. That's where he gets his power to keep coming back, or something.
That's Order of the Thorn.
Right. I mean, there was something there. So I think they should have titled it, maybe just called Season of the Witch, and just left the title at that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I can see why. I mean, when the movie first came out, I could see the people who saw it immediately compared to someone like me, where I saw the movie as an adult. And I thought the movie was awesome. I thought it would have made a great series anthology. Cause especially since 1 and 2, 1 being more than 2, just enjoyable. But I thought that my opinion, and we can go into this further, I know we will. My opinion was that 2 was the last of the canon, original canon, where Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis died. And I think that after Halloween 3, out of all the series of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, I felt like Halloween is probably the weakest series out of the 3, because of the high demand of bringing back Michael Myers and just the lackluster stories to follow. But
I can agree with that.
That's just my opinion. Whoever has a rebuttal, I would love to hear it.
Well, not necessarily a rebuttal, but there is a finality to the ending of Halloween 2, with Loomis and Michael both going up in flames. So to be able to continue it, would be a stretch. But then again, the second Friday the 13th film is a little bit of a stretch in that we know who was the villain in the first film, and then suddenly to bring Jason to life in the second film was a bit of a leap, a leap in logic. But I find it a bizarre mixture of elements. You have black magic with Celtic magic and this science fiction androids and horror elements. Yeah, there's a lot of noise going on right now.
Sorry, I'm trying something.
We got 2 Jarretts now.
Yeah.
Hi,
I got my laptop working.
But perhaps you should. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. I just. Jarrett wanted to make a sequel of himself. Okay.
There you go. We're making clones of ourselves now. But no, the thing is that the elements themselves are a wild mixture of things. And it's funny because it's possibly the first time, but certainly not the last time, that Carpenter attempts to blend horror and science fiction together. He does it with The Thing. He does it with Prince of Darkness, which is a favorite of mine.
Oh, that's a
Ghosts of Mars. These are themes that he seems to return to over and over and over again in his career, that this blending of science fiction and horror.
So you're saying that Halloween was a better series? No, I'm fucking with you.
No, I'm not saying it was a better. No, I'm in agreement with Jared and yourself in that it's probably the weakest of the films. The first 2 are, really the bar set very, very high, and then 3, is an emotional disappointment. It's a fun picture. But as a Halloween film, it's an emotional disappointment. And then the others, I think, try too hard. You know.
Do you think that with so many years have passed now that everyone's got the bad taste out of their mouth, that Halloween 3, back when it first came out, wasn't a direct sequel to Halloween 2? Do you think people could maybe just relax and enjoy Halloween 3, or do you think that
absolutely
everyone's still going to hold a crutch?
Of course they can easily. Time heals all wounds, and it is a fun picture, But yeah, and also too, I think that horror fans and folks like ourselves who dip back 30 years to watch a horror movie, we're a little more savvy and we understand it. We kind of go in knowing already that this has disconnected from the Michael Myers movies. So absolutely, people can jump into it now.
Got you. And I gotta apologize. I know I said that Halloween was probably the weakest out of all the horror series. I want to change my opinion on that. I actually want to say that Saw is the weakest of all the series. That's where I stand.
Well, and ladies and gentlemen, send your cards and letters to Brian Enright. That's Brian Enright at Murray Hill Station.
Opinion box.
Opinion.
I just
Maybe a little hunting Brian later.
I didn't like the Saw series. I thought the first one was great. I really enjoyed it. The atmosphere, the tense storyline of the characters being trapped in the room, and there's no outside source, and the only outside source you have is what's going through the eyes of the detective, who was played by Danny Glover. And I don't know. The rest of the series is just kill me.
Well, yeah, because look, Saw actually shares something in common with a whole nother movie called Cube, where they're trapped in a room where
that's a great movie.
Yeah, and they're trapped in this room, and there's traps waiting for them every which way, and they got to figure it out. Saul just kind of takes the gore factor and multiplies it by 100 and says,
"Yeah,
here, we're going to do this to you now, and enjoy this." Meanwhile, Cube has done a little bit more with maybe not size 5 aspect to it, but it has a little bit more dramatic times to the movie. So I always find Cube to be the initial starting gate for Saw.
Yeah, well, Cube's just this infinite trap of despair. There is no way out, and when they do find a way out, it's a void. it's just a complete void.
Yes.
Where there in Saw, you know, there's an outside world, and you know, I like that Saw. You know, I like that Saw because Cube in the first Cube, the deaths were there, but they weren't as drawn out as the sequels of sequels for Cube or the Saw series, but they were still there, and they were a pillar in the trapped horror genre.
Right.
So,
Now,
yeah.
Now, some people would say that the next series that I'm going to mention here is probably the worst, but I would never do that to my redneck friends out there. They're called Wrong Turn, because y'all got just because you Yankees up here like to pollute our water, y'all got no way about that.
Can I change my opinion again? Wrong Turn is
No.
The hindquarters? I don't know. You're getting kind
You
of weird
had your
out there,
chance.
boy. That boy needs to get to go whooping.
Oh,
And then it's the I Spit on Your Grave series. Oh my god.
It's a series you really need to have like 4 films in it, okay? So
Yeah.
I think Ray is trying to say that Paranormal Activity is the worst.
Paranormal Activity.
I
like the
what-
first one.
The first one was the worst one. What are you talking about?
I like it.
I'm not a big fan of the Paranormal Activity, of the slow burn kind of horror, actionless type of horror movie. I think in order for a franchise to really earn the label of worst, the first movie has to be like really, really, really good. You know, the first movie has to be really, really good, and then everything else has to be just that death spiral down to really make, because of the level of expectation. If you know, for me, Paranormal Activity, the first one was like watching paint dry, and you know, so where do you go when you're already kind of, you know, not doing to or Wrong Turn for that matter? The first Wrong Turn is kind of just okay, but you know, I think to Brian's point, Saw, you know, that first movie is just spectacular. I was at the Toronto Film Festival when that played, the midnight screening, and it blew people's minds. The whole place shrieked at the ending of the film. The whole theater just literally screamed at the end of the movie. And so, you know, it's that, I think it's the art, that death plunge, that really makes a franchise earn the label worst.
I hear the baby.
well,
I know, I just muted it.
because Ray, wait a minute, because Ray put up the Return of the Living Dead. Now that had 5 in that series, and let's face it, by part 2, we're already completely nuts in that movie. Well, the first one is stellar, of the Return of the Living Dead from '85. The soundtrack is phenomenal. But yeah, Return of the Living Dead. Let's face it. By the end, I think, what's the last one called?
Rave from the Grave, or Rave to the Grave.
Something like that. Yeah,
I like the change of my opinion.
we're dealing with true shit. Work here now. The craftsmanship and the acting in that film is so stellar at that moment. Rizzo has to agree that is some true Shakespearean screen work being done there.
In Return of the Living Dead, yes, yeah, that's a very good example of where the first film is awesome, and then the last two, you know, the last two movies,
Sci-fi movies.
Unfortunately, I'm a little bit responsible for. I'm somewhat responsible for those two because we financed them, and I think they were made in, yeah, there they are. I'm glad my name isn't on those.
Well, hold on.
Weren't those two films made back to back?
Yeah.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
They both came out the same year.
Yeah, they were made back to back. We aired them on Sci-Fi like a month apart, and Sci-Fi co-financed them, and I think they were shot in Bulgaria. I think pretty much they were shot in Eastern Europe, somewhere there. It's always great, you know. Getting stuntmen in Bulgaria is real easy, you know, because if you want to set man on fire, we get gypsy. We get the gypsy. We set gypsy on fire.
We can do this.
We can do this. There's no unions or anything like that. When the communists moved out, people lost their minds. It turned into a college town, and and for a while there, in the late '90s, early '00s, it was the place. It was the place to film. Sofia, Bulgaria. I think that's where both of those were shot.
Okay.
Isn't she in Modern Family?
Now, I always thought that the number 3 in any series was always the ultimate cult classic, where you have Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, Death Wish 3, Friday the 13th 3D. Everything comes in threes, and now we're here. We're here with Halloween 3. Going back to it, and it is, when it first came out, it was ahead of its time because of the shame and just the negative reviews about it. And it's great knowing that we're covering all these other series, and we're realizing that Halloween isn't the worst.
By far.
What?
So
now, did they miss out? Did Halloween miss out on the whole 3D thing by doing Season of the Witch? They could have done, Michael Myers in 3D.
Yeah.
Is that a missed opportunity?
I think it was.
It's okay. John Carpenter will make Halloween 3D. How about that?
Or Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie, come on.
No more Rob Zombie.
See, the thing that worked out for Friday the 13th in 3D was just, even with the technology, everything upscaling to 4K, Friday the 13th 3D looks like garbage because they made it specifically for
it does.
3D glasses. You can watch it on anything. Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray, it looks really bad.
It just looks like shit. But that's what's so campy about it, because the 3D, when it first came out, it wasn't the 3D that we have today. It's not like you go to IMAX and you have like a picture on all 4 walls and you're just sitting there with your 3D glasses stoned off your ass with your family, just watching all these obstacles come after you.
Stoned off your ass with your family. Interesting.
Well, that's what I'm looking forward to now. I'm having a family and seeing movies in 3D. So that's something I plan on doing.
Yes, but Brian, for part 3, you have to admit, for Friday the 13th, part 3, come on, what about that groovy soundtrack it has?
Great soundtrack.
The disco theme song.
I'm so glad that Steve Miner, when he was directing this, decided to go away from, like, it still had the classical composition, but it had the disco beats to it, So, but nothing compares to Crispin Glover's dancing in Friday the 13th Part 4. What was that?
What?
They're landing on my roof as we speak, I believe.
Well, it's Jersey. They're going to be in for a shock.
They want your copy of King Kong.
No, they want the ice spider prop. That's what they want.
Oh, they're not getting that. But I want to comment on Brian's point about the look of Friday the 13th. A lot of that has to do with film stock. A lot of that has to do with transfer. If you look at Jaws 3D, Jaws 3D is also suffers from a rather grainy image.
Yeah.
Kodak was producing a film stock at the time in the late 70s early 80s that wasn't exactly favored among, it was used widely, but it wasn't favored that much on down the road. It was dropped, and subsequently, I believe it deteriorates very quickly these days. Star Wars was shot on this particular stock. And so a lot of it has to do with that and how much effort goes into the transfer to Blu-ray or the transfer to DVD. But if you look at 3D films from that era, they all look very grainy. They all look kind of shitty.
Didn't they upscale Jaws 3D for that new Blu-ray set to the new Blu-ray TVs?
That would be news to me, but it would make sense to do that.
I think they upscaled it to what, so you could wear the new 3D glasses on the new 3D TVs, but I don't know if I know anybody that's seen it yet on there.
So we can see Michael Caine in 3D.
Oh,
Well, he was in Michael Caine was in number 4.
Yeah. Ray Merrick, did Rob have that on Blu-ray? Rob Martinez? You don't know? He might have. Moving on.
Did I got the wrong Jaws, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did it again. That's okay.
But yeah,
last week it was the Burial Ground. You screwed that one up, and now it's
Which came out on Blu-ray this week.
Yeah, and I got it. So
Burial Ground?
Burial Ground came out on Blu-ray this week.
I saw
got
it.
it sent to me.
Cover looks great. What else came out on Blu-ray? They released Scream Factory's The Thing again.
Yep.
Exorcist 3.
Exorcist 3, which we're going to talk about as soon as Ray gets back.
He's shaking his head.
He's not coming back, it looks like.
it doesn't know. It
So,
looks like he's being punished for some reason.
He's in the corner with his films. That's okay, Ray. We see you.
So
But he's the president. He can do that. He's allowed to do that.
The Id came out on Blu-ray this week, didn't it?
What was that?
the which
The
one?
Id? Or is it the ID?
Oh, the ID. Yes, the ID. Did you watch it?
I haven't had a chance to.
I thought we were getting philosophical. I thought we were getting a little deep here for a second there.
Yes, we're talking about our id.
Did you like it, Jared? Did you?
I actually haven't had a chance to watch it. I've been working all day.
It's interesting. I liked the rawness of the lead star Amanda Weiss from Nightmare on Elm Street. I felt like she did a great job.
Well, and we can tell that Ray likes it too because he's kind of dancing over there and a little bit shaking it. He's nodding, going, "Yeah, I liked it. I'm grooving here."
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it yet.
No, am I the only one who saw it?
I think so, yeah. I'm planning on watching it, though.
It was interesting. It was directed by Tommy Hudson, who did Crystal Lake Memories. He produced that. He produced More Brains, the Return of the Living Dead documentary, and he produced Never Sleep Again, which is a 3-hour documentary about the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
And this was his first time behind the camera directing. So it was it starred Amanda Weiss from A Nightmare on Elm Street. Music was performed by Tuesday Night, another Nightmare on Elm Street scream queen. Yep. And there were scenes. It was an interesting movie. I would check it out. It came out on Blu-ray. Yeah, go see it.
Ray said he was dancing to the Friday the 13th 3D theme song. His mic cut out.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. Again, the president can do that. The president can dance at any time he wants to.
That's right. The only thing about that soundtrack that I can recommend is that you mosh responsibly, and try not to hurt yourself. You know, that Halloween, getting back to Halloween 3, man, that soundtrack, boy, it's a good thing I wasn't blasting that thing on my home theater system, because the soundtrack is a little piercing. It's a little high in the upper registers.
And that wasn't Carpenter that did that, was it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
That was
yes, it is.
Carpenter and Alan Howarth.
And Howarth, yeah, okay.
Yeah, again, this isn't a case. Halloween 3 isn't a case where the check from the studio and then was basically, thank you very much, we'll take the franchise from here. Carpenter retained control, and so he chose, to make Halloween 3 the way that it turned out. He's a producer on the film, along with Deborah Hill. He's co-written the screenplay, and he also did the score.
Yeah.
And so, he is all over this movie. And again, not to go back to an old point, but I found the choices odd for me. I didn't see anything broken with the Halloween franchise.
As a whole, with including Resurrection.
Well, prior to all that, just the first 2 films alone, just to get to make this left turn with the franchise is weird for me.
Yeah.
You don't really see it elsewhere.
Yeah. No, you don't. You don't. And it was, I get it that it was new, and well, John Carpenter, I feel like he's become more of an icon maybe like 10, 15 years than he was when he was pushing out movies in the 80s. I guess that's just my opinion.
there were no purists.
Yeah.
There were only 2 films. So it wasn't like there was as strong a following. I think once The Thing came along, then fans, The Fog and The Thing, I think that fan base started to really grow. But this to keep it within its historical context, there wasn't really a purist kind of movement for those films back then. We just wanted to see what number 3 was.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Exactly. And then and then Carpenter became more of a household name when he did started doing movies such as Big Trouble in Little China and Starman, and then then the studio just took over, and you have an example like Ghost of Mars.
I liked Ghost of Mars. Ice Cube.
Ghost of Mars was an interesting one, and so was
an early role for Jason Statham too.
Yeah. Yeah, early role for Jason Statham,
right.
Late role for Pam Grier.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at for example, look at movies such like, I know it's not horror, but Escape from New York compared to Escape from LA. I like them both. I thought Escape from LA was more of a political satire than Escape from New York. Which, there's a lot of stuff that John Carpenter got away with in that movie. Yeah, I felt like, the studio was in control, whereas John Carpenter wasn't as much.
Well, the 2 scripts, I think the first movie is played straight, and the second movie isn't. So, and that's the script.
Yeah.
The second movie isn't. The first movie is played straight for whatever political satire there is in the movie. There's really, I don't think there's too many deliberate laughs. But Escape from LA is a different tone.
Now is that a
and Ray is frowning. Maybe he's disagreeing with me. I'm not sure. He's frowning.
No, he's not.
Tell us, Ray. Tell us where they're keeping you. It's okay. Tell us where you are.
Use movie title to let us know. Pick a movie title to let us know where you are.
See, this is what I went through with Blog Talk Radio. At least we can all see the smug on Ray's face as he's.
Well, we already lost Jared. Jared has been terminated again.
Oh man.
We're here for you, buddy.
Oh,
We're
no.
here for you, buddy. Just let us know if you need
There he
food.
is.
You know.
Food. Oh, that's the word he knows.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
Well, I
Halloween-
thought I don't know who amongst the group selected Halloween 3, but we haven't heard from Morgan yet.
we haven't. Morgan, you're supposed to do homework.
I watched it. I did. I watched it last night. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like the same way as everyone else saying, I liked it, but seems weird that it exists kind of in the series.
Mhm.
But yeah.
No,
But what do you
absolutely.
think
I
overall?
can see.
What?
What did you think of the film overall compared to the other ones in the series, and just as the film itself? I mean, what did you think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was still like it still had the same level of like and as like movie, with like the robot guys like just appearing out of nowhere, like kind of how Michael, and obviously, the music is similar, so it helps with the feeling too. And
Yeah, no, I can see Mike Myers, the way he was very robotic and type of supernatural force, like comparison to the robots that were created by Silver Shamrock. I could definitely see that.
Happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
And that didn't. By the way, Jared, that did not help in the criticism of the film.
Oh, I bet.
That didn't go down very well. But Morgan makes an interesting point about the music. If you stop and think about it for a moment, that's the only thread of continuity between the first 3 films.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there is there's the pattern and the within the music, the style of music, there is that thread of continuity between the 3 movies.
Kind of like there's something dark out there, and we won't ever know what is inspiring it or how to destroy it.
But also too, just from the instrumentation, it's still piano, synthesizer, very, very, very similar to Halloween 1 and 2. The tempo, all of that is extremely similar. I really didn't actually put much thought to it until Morgan brought it up. That thread is there between the 3 films.
Now, while we're on this topic, one of the last segments of the John Carpenter movies, Halloween 3, was the John Carpenter Live. That was John Carpenter touring this year, and we just got news that Monster Mania 2017 at the Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey this year. Alan Howarth performing live all of his music as well, and he's kind of like it would be interesting to see his renditions of. Oh yeah.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. I met him at a festival that happened in Philadelphia a few years back, and actually got to share a ride with him. We were both staying at the same hotel, and I got to kind of bum a ride with some people with him. So it was an interesting conversation. He talked about John Carpenter, and he talked about Deborah Hill. Some very interesting things were there, and some things I will not say since Alan had a few drinks. And some loose lips. Rizzo can understand that kind of talk, if you would. But no, it was very interesting. He stated something that was very interesting one time for of composing work. One time he said Spielberg wanted with Poltergeist was he wanted the voice of Caroline to be sounding like it came from Mars. And he needed the voice to sound really like stretched out. And he said the only way they came up with it was to use back then, the voice got recorded through an air shaft vent. So you were at the top of a building, you yelled the name Caroline, it just all the way down the air shaft, and they recorded out the bottom, if you would. And that's how they used it. So he's a very interesting gentleman to begin with, and I've had the pleasure of hearing him play his music, so I will definitely get my tickets to go.
Yeah, we'll be there as well. Just the synth. I know Jared is also as guilty as I am when it comes to synthwave, which was Alan Howarth and John Carpenter were the pioneers.
Pioneers.
They
same thing with Giorgio Moroder, and kind of going back into disco where it originated from. Disco never died; it was just adopted by the Italians.
I like that.
And bands like Goblin.
Yeah.
Goblin, Lucio Fulci had
Fabio Frizzi.
Who was his guy? Exactly. And it's just like, and it seemed like there was so many like other type of synthesizer soundtracks that were popular, and then it kind of weaned off a little bit, and then now it's coming back like Hailstorm, and it's called synthwave now, and it's definitely one of my favorite types of music genres, and it's something that I would recommend to everyone just driving at night listening to it. Just
there are
Google
dozens and
synthwave.
dozens of bands right now.
Yeah, and I know.
I was going to say, have any of you heard the last Goblin album by any chance? Goblin, what is it? Reborn?
No.
Came out last year.
Oh no,
Terrific! Absolutely terrific. As if they never missed a beat. I recommend it. I believe it's called Reborn, Goblin Reborn, and you put on the first track and you're taken right back. It's awesome stuff.
Well, yeah, there's a band called Arcana 13, off of I think it's Code 666 label, and their music is really
the label of the beast.
I know. Well, I got permission to play. So what? And they got their music sounding really like Goblin too. There's even a track called Superior on there, like 7-minute long track. I sometimes play it, and it's really cool. It sounds really like Goblin's music. So just to kind of throw it out there that there's other bands that are picking up on their sound and definitely doing something with it.
I have an interesting vinyl record called Goblin: The Murder Collection. It's Claudio Simonetti's scores. There's Profondo Rosso, which is Deep Red, Suspiria Phenomena, Tenebra, Zombie, and you can actually listen to these renditions. He brought more of a heavy metal vibe and brought in some hard guitar riffs into his music, and you can actually listen to it off of Spotify or YouTube by typing in Claudio Simonetta's greatest hits, and he actually covers Twin Peaks theme and gives it more of a rendition. He covers Escape from New York. And what is it? And my favorite song on this track is the Phenomena theme song, because it was the first soundtrack that brought in a heavy metal vibe mixing with the synthesizer, where other Goblin soundtracks were very psychedelic.
Okay.
We had another segment set up tonight, but I don't know if we want to go through with it since Ray's mic's dead. dead in the water. We were going to talk about urban legends, our local urban legends, and ghost folklore. Do you guys still want to do that? What do you think?
Yeah, I would love to.
Sure, why not?
Sure.
I know. Baron has one. We were talking about it earlier for the podcast that Baron has a good ghost story. You know, well, we live in New Jersey, so there's like a ghost story every year.
We got a few. So what? I guess you want me to go first then, or what?
Yeah, take it away, Baron.
Go first.
All right. As some of you know, the Baron is from Haddonfield, New Jersey, same town where Deborah Hill is from. And what's really unique about our town is that some of the historical buildings, how to put it, the town was both for slavery and an underground railroad at the same time. So there are historical houses in the have chains still in the walls of where we chained up the slaves. The carriage houses, which are also known as garages nowadays, also have those similar chains. And it's been reported that those chains do clank and rattle. Because you see, there are some places in the backyards that was known as the whipping post. Yes, the blood has spilled in Haddonfield many times. And by the way, just to let everyone know, of course, Haddonfield has never had any murders. Well, that is to say, if you go to the library, there's no reports and records of any murders ever occurring in the town of Haddonfield. Of course, though, Deborah Hill, if you know the story, did grow up there. And there was a certain boy who once got a little upset with a girl who has some loose morals. He helped paint the walls with her body. You know, just a little here, a little there, a little everywhere. But hey, why don't you come out to Haddonfield? It's a great place. We have our own cemetery, which I like to walk at nighttime. That's just something the Baron does. You know, I have a ability to just vanish in darkness. Something I do. So why don't you come out to my way, take my hand, and come out and we'll walk in the darkness of the cemetery. Hey, you're so lucky come around Halloween time. The Baron this Halloween is going to go to a very special event. He's going to a black mass. That's right. I plan to hope to meet Lucifer. After all, I'm a good friend of him, and I've been told many times I'm going to hell, so I figured why not? Let me get some early Christmas gifts done in advance. But hey, in Haddonfield, while we're not the Pine Barrens where the Jersey Devil lives, we just got all those real things that happen around here. Things where police officers have tried to murder other police officers. But of course, again, we don't have any murders. We never do. We're that innocent town. We're the wholesome people, the good Christians, if you would. Of course, if you do want to visit a most Gothic-looking church, you can head on over to, I think it's called something like Woodbury. And you go over there with the gargoyles and everything are outside, and then the church has got some interesting rooms underneath of it for the exorcisms that have been done. But hey, why don't you come out to Haddonfield? The Baron's awaiting you. He's got sights to show you, and maybe you'll get home. Then again, maybe I'll just ship your corpse on home in pieces because the Baron doesn't mind having some parts laying around.
Hey, remember, folks, New Jersey and you, perfect together.
That's right. The Baron's waiting. Come on. My robe's all pressed and ready to go for the mass. Who's next?
I can't.
Does anyone want to attempt to follow that?
That's kind of hard to top, you know. That's again, the dive is really steep from that one. You know?
Well, by the way, just to let you know, that isn't a sound effect, really. That's just the Baron's screech.
you make the president leave. I think he's going to delete the website now and delete everything we worked for.
Did I cause that? I don't know if Ray liked that.
No, he's back.
He's just covering his face.
I hope it didn't do too much. No, I didn't. I could do
No,
more.
You have a certain panache. I like it.
Thank you.
I don't know how to feel anymore.
I will come over and help you with your feeling.
Can I change my list? Can I change my list again?
Yes, you can.
What do you want to change?
You have another opinion? You want to change your opinion?
I want to change my opinion.
Yes, go ahead.
Well,
Now-
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you, urban legends. The Baron makes an interesting point because I mean, urban legends are supposed to be the kind of stories where maybe it's true and maybe it's not true. In the town where I'm from, the urban legend kind of turned out to be true. I grew up in a town in Hudson County called North Bergen, which is only about a mile or two from the Lincoln Tunnel. And perhaps you've heard of a notorious hitman by the name of Richard Kuklinski. Richard Kuklinski was also known as the Iceman. And he would use North Bergen, the area, as basically his hunting grounds. He worked for the mafia. He was not an Italian, so he wasn't a made man. He was an independent contractor, and he would leave bodies literally hundreds of yards from my house.
He was an admirer of your work.
I'm sorry?
He was an admirer of yours, I see.
No.
He's like a stray cat that brings dead pigeons to your doorstep because he wants you to eat.
Yeah. Perhaps some of you you might want to Google the name Richard Kuklinski or the Iceman. There was a movie made about him, actually.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon.
Yeah, and his accomplice was another hitman, another contract killer that went by the name of Mr. Softy, and that's because he drove a Mr. Softy truck. Well, I knew him too, and hung out with his kids. We used to beat the shit out of his kids, actually. They were little bastards. And I used to buy ice cream from his Mr. Softy truck, and his specialty was cyanide. Kuklinski was always looking for less and less messy ways to dispose of people. And so he teamed up with Mr. Softy, and Mr. Softy taught him how to effectively use cyanide. And so when I think about all the times that I bought ice cream from that truck by a man who was handling cyanide, it makes me definitely uneasy. So in my town, the urban legend, the boogeyman was real, and it was pretty horrific. He left a body at the York Motel. He stashed it underneath the bed. He stashed one of his victims underneath the bed of the York Motel. He committed murders in the restaurant behind the motel. He put a body in a metal drum and left it in front of a restaurant on Route 46 just outside of North Bergen. Left the body in a drum next to a dumpster. A lot of things. So it was pretty chilling stuff. Growing up, we knew the Iceman was out there.
Kind of sounds like the portrait, Henry, the portrait of a serial killer. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, he's easily, you can research him quite easily. There was a documentary on HBO, and this all was literally not miles from my home, where I grew up, but a couple of 100 yards easily. So it was pretty tricky.
Now, was he also known as like the Turnpike Killer or something like that, or?
He committed a lot of murders on the west side of Manhattan,
Okay.
near the Hudson River.
All right.
But he did a lot of his work in Jersey City, North Bergen, West New York, within that area there.
All right.
And he was, like I said, he wasn't an Italian, so he wasn't a made man. He was he could never be on the inside, so he was a contract killer.
Well, at least he found some good work to do. Right.
But so yeah, I mean, we didn't have ghost stories. We had like real murder going on in our neighborhood.
Well, like I said, I mean, in Haddonfield, we know that there's some of the is in the cemetery. We know that there's a few bodies of slaves buried nearby, because I guess they just didn't do what they were told to do, and the people in Haddon decided to eliminate people because the entire area was owned by the Haddon family. Because that's just how we roll here. That's why when our kids are bad, we can just chain them up in the basement. You know, if you're not a good kid, I'll chain you up in the basement. We got the chains to prove it.
Is that like a day off in your town?
Maybe.
Is that, like a local holiday?
I make every day a holiday.
Chain the kids up in the basement. Go to the farmers market. That sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I guess we could do that. Yeah. So.
All right.
The banks are closed. I got it.
Does anyone else have any ghost stories that they would like to share?
Morgan, do you have anything?
I literally know so many about like Dallas, the Dallas area, like, and there's I live in a city like outside of Dallas. I live in Garland, and there's one for our city about it's called like a guy named Smiley. And so at this cemetery, it's a grave with him, his wife, and like 2 children. Like the whole family is buried in one grave, a same date of death. And so there's like, I think they actually died from like a tornado. But then there's also like, legends that like killed them all in himself or something. And so there's also the thing where a cemetery on Halloween night and lay down on the grave, you can supposedly feel the guy trying to pull you into the grave or something like that.
You're gonna try it out?
No.
Didn't test it out?
Never. That is not happening. I don't want to risk that. There's also a place in Dallas called Flagpole Hill. Really a hill with the flagpole, and there's a road, a small road that goes by it. And then it's like a one-way road, and it's like so small where like if you go down it, you can't turn around. You have to like keep on continuing. And so apparently if you go down there, a bunch of like rocks and stuff are going to be thrown at your car by, I don't know, ghosts or something. And apparently like look up police reports of that there's actually like a bunch of reports of people reporting that happening to them when they go down that road.
Oh, wow.
The ghosts throw rocks.
Apparently.
They're protesting.
That's cool. No, the first story is cool too. No, these are all cool.
Yeah.
And then
That's what urban legends are all
there's more,
about.
guys. There's more.
I'm back, by the way.
The Lady of the Lake, which I don't know. I feel like I don't know if this is like actually it happened in like a city by me, but I don't know. It might be like just a anyway. Girl died in the lake on like her homecoming night or something, and apparently
No.
use sometimes whenever
The
you're
echo
driving
is
by the
really,
lake.
really good. I like the echo.
Makes it more
Where's
ominous.
it coming from?
It's scary.
Someone's watching us. All right, I'm sorry, Morgan, but you
What-
had an echo. I didn't mean to interrupt.
What did I miss
Not much.
Wait, when did you leave?
during Baron's satanic laughing?
Oh, well, Ray knows a guy who sells cyanide, and Ray beat up his kids.
Out of a Mr. Softy truck.
A place where we can just chain up people. So.
And Morgan Morgan had a ghost story, and the ghosts were throwing rocks at her. And she had another story before you rudely interrupted.
Fine, I'm out.
So there.
Get your ass
Don't
out.
leave, Ray. Come on.
He's
I don't
back.
have much time.
He's back.
All right, let him talk next because he says he doesn't have much time.
Well, my battery is running low on my phone, and that's how I'm doing it because I've got you guys there on the computer. I think I have to re-download the app on my computer.
Oh.
I was trying to Skype earlier to see if the audio played through because it did whenever I talked to Brian the other day. So
Mhm. Well, did you want to wrap this up with our final segment?
what's the final segment?
Just horror movies that we're all going to watch before Halloween.
I'm going to watch all these.
Every single one of them.
All the way to the floor.
Morgan, you should do a video review of your final ghost story that we couldn't hear because Ray's phone is dying.
What?
A horror segment about your ghost story. For the horror.
The computer's still running. You guys can keep going. I won't be able to, but the computer's still running.
I thought this was it. I thought this was the end of the road for you.
No, I'm on two different things. I'm on the computer, which has no audio, and then I'm using my phone to talk through. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See the skull that says Horror Syndicate? That's also me. Watch this. Watch the bottom of the screen if you can.
Okay.
Is there two of me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. You're going to tear the fabric of space and time if you continue to do that. You'll doom us all.
All right. Well, since we are able to have this site, Morgan, keep going.
Yeah.
What was the last thing y'all heard or remember?
The lady in the lake.
The lady in the lake.
Yes.
Throwing rocks at you.
No, the lady in the lake. Catch up, Brian.
Start over that. Start that story over. A girl. I don't know when this supposedly happened, but a girl drowned in the lake. I think night of her homecoming dance or prom or something, and so then if you like drive on there's like a thinking of the right lake, or there's probably a bridge or whatever lake. Anyway, if you drive by the lake, you like see her standing in the road, and there's also I think stories about her like getting in your car. She needs a run, and then you like turn around and look, and she's gone, and there's just like a puddle of water in your seat where she was sitting.
Very cool.
Nice. I like that.
Very cool.
It almost sounds like Resurrection Mary from Chicago. You ever hear about Resurrection Mary in Chicago? Near Bachelor's Grove Cemetery? Anybody ever heard of that?
No.
Nope.
Bachelor's Grove Cemetery is supposedly one of the most haunted places in America. And down the street from there is a Resurrection Cemetery, where you pick up this lady in white. You've all heard the legends of the lady in white, or woman in white. And she gets in your car. She's looking for a ride, and whenever you drive past the cemetery, she disappears from your back seat. Doesn't leave a puddle of water. But was the girl on her period in this story you're talking about? Never mind. Bad joke.
Wow.
Anyway.
You know, I was gonna go with the Uber joke, honestly, but no, you keep going.
Yeah, well, that's one of the stories I heard when I was living in Chicago. The other Bachelor's Grove Cemetery has a lot of stories. Here in Collinsville, I have the Seven Gates of Hell, which you can find the article about the Seven Gates on rageofrazor.com. And then there's Acid Bridge, and the albino twins with the haunted railroad tracks.
Well, I've been to Acid Bridge, so several times, actually.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. Wow. And I'm speechless.
During John Carpenter's The Thing, specifically, but that's a story for another day.
Well, that's the whole idea behind Acid Bridge. All the teenagers will go out there and drop acid. But if you go out there in the middle of the night and turn off your engine and sit in the middle of the bridge, you can hear howling in the trees, because it's in the middle of the woods, of course. It's creepy. It's true. I've been out there a bunch of times. The Seven Gates of Hell. The story goes that on the second gate, there's 7 of them, of course. The second gate, if you're driving, you can see a little slave boy waving at you from the gate, and he jumps off the gate and disappears. I've never seen it, but that's one of the legends. And then between gates 3 and 4, which are supposedly called the Twin Gates because they're right next to each other, there's a creek passes underneath the road, and there are supposedly there were animal sacrifices by a satanic cult that lived right outside of gate 4. And on any given night around 3 o'clock, you can see somebody or a couple people walking in a dark robe. It's probably Baron in a dark robe up and down between gates 3 and 4. And if you go through all gates, I didn't know you came to Collinsville, but if you go through all 7 gates backwards and forwards, when you get to gate 7, you'll see a rip in reality, and you'll be chased by hellhounds.
They're just good doggies.
That's that story. Yeah. The albino tracks, supposedly back in the 30s, these 2 albino kids were walking home. I think this is an urban legend more than just where I am. But they were walking home, and they were stoned to death by some other kids and laid on the railroad tracks. So if you take your car and park on the tracks, they will push you off or on the tracks. Depends on who you are and what kind of a person you are.
There's an urban legend kind of like that in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
About like train tracks and pushing your car.
So we can have a really fun urban legend segment on the actual website, which would be cool, but I don't know if we really want to do that or not. I love urban legends and ghost stories. Does everybody believe in ghosts or not?
I'll believe it if I see it.
Well, I mean, I've seen recent photos of Angela Lansbury. Does that count?
She's still alive.
I'm going to have to say yes.
Well, I've seen something that I can't explain. So, and it had nothing to do with acid, but
that time.
But I was not alone, and I saw something that I simply could not explain, and so it has always kind of just sat in my mind. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. A friend of mine had a family member who was into Santeria. Santeria was very big in my neighborhood. I grew up a cultural mix of people. There were Italian kids, there were Irish kids, and there were Cuban kids as well. And I grew up very close to West New York, a large Cuban population there. And so Santeria, which is the worship.
Did you practice Santeria?
Did I practice it? No. No. I don't bat for that team, I'm afraid. But it wasn't unusual to come across chicken carcasses, calves' tongues, coconuts split in half, ritual sites. Those sort of things were not unusual in my neighborhood at all. Around cemeteries and such. And Santeria is it's a mix of South African, Caribbean, and Roman Catholicism, all woven together. They worship the saints as the Roman Catholics worship the saints, and but there's animal sacrifice involved and stuff like that. So this family member passed away. And is someone dying in the background? Is there?
My wife's going through a coughing fit, I think.
Oh, I'm so sorry. There's NyQuil. You know, that's boy, what I recommend. Anyway,
weed.
Anyway, this person who was involved. This person was a priestess for the Santeria, and she passed away. And the house was boarded up. And one evening, myself and a friend were walking down that street. We walked past the house. The house had a board on the front door and was padlocked. And as we walked down the street, a taxi cab turned the corner. And out of the corner of my eye, it looked like her in the backseat of the taxi. And my friend and I turned our backs, looked back up the street. The taxi cab stopped in front of the house. She got out of the back of the cab with the bags from ShopRite, walked towards the house, and then disappeared. And that's what I saw. I turned to my friend and I said, "Dude, did you see that?" And he said, "Yes." And knowing this person and knowing what went on in the house, there was a lot of, offerings in the house, bowls of fruit, loose cash, giant statues of saints inside the house, and drums and things like that. So knowing the individual and knowing what they were into, we didn't question it all that much. But yeah, I saw something I can't explain.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, for me, I'm the kind of guy who's basically asked to be the provoker for these haunters, these paranormal investigators, because I'll go in a place and I will name call, pick on, insult whoever lived there. I just have that way about myself. And
you're an instigator.
Yes, I am, and I'm good at it. And yeah, but something happened at
Provocator.
Once, and I got shoved.
There you go, provocator. There you go.
And there was, I got shoved. There was nobody in the room. People looking at me going, "You don't trip, you don't fall down, and you're very sober tonight. So what the hell did you do?" I said, I told the guy he was a lousy piano player. He should have just killed himself anyway. He sucks so badly. So, next thing I know, I got shoved. I'm the guy people bring out to go, "Listen, this is a really bad situation. We know the person died under really bad circumstances." I said, "No problem. How they die, and I'll insult them." And I got an open mind on it. Let's put it that way. It's open. Religion, all of it. I go, okay, everybody's got their own little view of it, whatever, and I just move along. So when it comes to ghosts and all that fun stuff, I'll go into a place and you can tell me it's all haunted, and I'll go, "Hey, that's nice. I got nothing else to do tonight. I'll show up." There you go.
Well, that's sort of my feeling too. I kind of feel like the dead can't hurt us. So that those things don't, freak me out. I don't have that sort of hang up. I'm more curious about it than anything else. I think because of the incident that I had,
right?
It's made me more curious than anything else.
I would have to agree.
Because that Santeria shit is weird, And on Burger Line Avenue in West New York, there would be a shop that sold statues of Christ, statues of all the different saints, in various sizes, ceramic statues, bowls for offerings and such. And then right next door would be a slaughterhouse where you can buy live chickens, live sheep, goats, rabbits, literally next door to the Santeria shop, side by side. And this was on Bergerland Avenue in West New York in the early 70s, early to mid 70s when I was a little kid. So this was something that was going on. You know, it just, you know, it was part of the culture there.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Santeria thing even went up to the Supreme Court at one time because people were, I don't know, they were fighting the religion. But, you know, these people sacrifice the animals and then they eat the animals. So it's kind of all fine with it. So.
Now, I came across an area in the woods near my home where there was at least a dozen calves' tongues hanging from the trees. They were tied with string. They were tied with twine. And they were just hanging, at least a dozen of them. Calves' tongues about, 10, 11, 12 inches long. Just arranged, hanging from the branches.
That's kind of creepy.
And again, this was, but the thing, but that's just it though, is that once you got to understand what they were about, it wasn't, it's not evil, it's not dark, it's super old, it's super Old Testament, mixed with healing and rituals and things like that. So it's the approach is bizarre, but it's not an evil thing, or at least what Hollywood would want you to believe.
Yeah, well, let's face it, Hollywood's got its own interpretations of everything.
Well, there was a movie. To get back on topic with movie, but there was a movie with, I want to say, Jimmy Smits and Lou Diamond Phillips.
First Power?
That was about might have been about Santeria. I think that's probably one of the only Santeria films I ever saw. Is that it? First Power? That doesn't sound.
That's not it. Who was in it again?
I think it's Jimmy Smits and Lou Diamond Phillips.
No, it's not. It's not the one I was thinking. No.
Oh, it's going to bother me now.
And it's not voodoo, so it's not like the Serpent and the Rainbow. So.
No, Serpent and the Rainbow is like Haitian.
Yeah.
Zombies.
Voodoo, but.
Yeah. Well, my urban legends do not come close to that.
So sorry that we ruined it for you.
But I do have a nice
All right,
little connection to a serial killer that Ray was talking about. I lived only a few hours from all the BTK killings, if you remember the BTK killer.
Oh, man. Yes.
He was really big in the late 70s and early 80s and went underground for like 20 years and then came back again. That was a really weird time because I was really little when the first killings were happening, but then he came out of the underground and sent emails and letters into the paper, and they eventually found him and caught him, and Kane Hodder portrayed him in a movie. Dennis Rader was his name. But as far as urban legends around my neck of the woods, I live about 15 minutes from one of the gates of hell. I don't know if it's on Razor's 7 gates or not, but it's Stoll, Kansas. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that.
No.
Supposedly
Why are
there's
these gates of hell in America?
yeah, exactly.
Not anywhere else in the world. But go on.
There was a church built in the mid-1800s, and the cemetery around it supposedly has stairs that you can find that go down to hell. The church was destroyed in the early 2000s or 2002, I think. But if you get caught parading in the cemetery, it's such a big deal around here, you can get a $1,000 fine and spend time in jail.
Gee.
Yeah, they patrol the area very, very heavily because of it. I think they made a movie about it, Turbulence 3. I think it might have even been a sci-fi movie. I don't remember.
That doesn't ring a bell.
Turbulence.
Yep, Turbulence. Yes.
Turbulence 3, Heavy Metal.
Heavy metal.
Yes, Heavy Metal. That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
And they portrayed Stoll in an episode of Supernatural, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's a real folklore around here.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I remember when that was happening. That was national news. That was across the country.
But that's all I got.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna wrap this episode up today. We're going a little bit over. We're gonna be at 2 hours soon. But this will conclude our episode before Halloween, and then we'll continue back with it on next Wednesday. And as you know, for those who have joined us tonight, I hope you had a great time. I sure as hell had a great time. I know everyone else here had a great time. You follow us at the Horror Syndicate Live on Twitter. Follow us at Horror Syndicate Live on Facebook. Twitter is at Horror Syndicate, and we also have an Instagram account that you can check out. I'm Brian Enright. You can follow me on Twitter at the Horror Jew. Baron, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter. It's Baron_Craze. Also on Facebook under just Baron Craze. Also look it up on the Baron's Crypt. That's a show on Friday nights at 6:30 every Friday night. It's a 2-hour show all about horror films and everything associated with the subject.
Okay.
Yeah. Check it out, kiddies.
And Jared, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Jared Laterno. Don't ask me how to spell it. I'm not going to tell you. You can also find me on Twitter at zombie_survivor. A little easier to spell.
All right, very cool. And next we have Morgan.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Morgan_Jewel_.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that last part.
No,
Yeah.
you froze there, Morgan. Give it another shot.
My Twitter is Morgan_Jewel.
Again.
Again.
Oh my goodness, what is happening?
He does not like underscores.
Google is censoring your last underscore.
Okay,
Oh, right.
let's try this.
Ray, I think.
Don't
lost
eat
his
your microphone, Ray.
Ray lost his microphone.
Ray's losing his mind. That's how I felt. Blog Talk. You guys were there. You saw what happened.
Well, we heard. We only heard.
Well, so give it to us one more time, Morgan.
Third time's the charm.
Wait.
At Morgan_Jewel S. Oh my god, did it freeze in?
No, we got it that time. I heard it.
It looked like it froze on my computer. Okay.
Oh, we actually got it done.
Ooh.
Then it froze.
All right, awesome. Next we have Rayzilla.
You can follow me at RayzillaNJ on Twitter.
All right. And last but not least, we have the president of the Horror Syndicate, Ray Razor.
Yep, he's pointing. You can follow him at Razor_33.
All right. So awesome episode tonight, guys. And for those who are watching, please tune in every Wednesday starting at 8 o'clock. And we usually go for about an hour, hour and a half. And, you know, if you have any comments about our show, please write them under the comment section. And also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us at The Horror Syndicate on Facebook, thehorrorsyndicate.com, and follow us on Twitter at Horror Syndicate. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. And everyone have a great rest of the evening. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Stay scared.
Halloween.